Well, I nearly averted disaster during Money in the Bank this year. For some stupid reason, even though they had mentioned it for months on end, I completely forgot that the show was set in London this year, and thus it would not be airing at like 7 o'clock like I'm normally used to. Thankfully, all I really missed was the first 3/4 of the kickoff show, which did not have anything of note on it outside of a crying Paul Heyman. So, yeah, I guess in some ways I dodged a bullet there. And anyway, let's get to the show. We opened up with the men's Money in the Bank ladder match. Damian Priest versus Logan Paul versus Pete Dunne versus Ricochet versus LA Knight versus Shinsuke Nakamura versus Santos Escobar. This is going to be kind of Logan Paul heavy early on because I think he had a lot of the more noteworthy spots. I mean, early on, everyone kind of ganged up on him, tried to get him out of the ring. He then tried to sneak a ladder in the ring as everyone began turning their attention to each other. At one point, Ricochet, Pete Dunne, and Santos Escobar pinned Damian Priest with a ladder. That enabled, in the corner with a ladder, and that enabled Shinsuke Nakamura to use the ladder for a knee drop on Priest. Like I said, Paul eventually tried to get his fellow Puerto Rican, Damian Priest, to help him during the match, and it didn't really work as they set up a couple of tables, but then immediately Priest threw Paul into the stairs, and then he had a maneuver off of him. And then Paul came back. He had a running frog splash on Priest through a ladder. Then Nakamura hit Ricochet with a snap German off of a ladder. Ricochet then hit a springboard 450 onto Dunne and Escobar, who were leaning across a bridged ladder. Knight eventually hit Paul with a suplex off the ladder. I'm sorry. Knight then hit Nakamura and Escobar. I knocked them off the ladder with his own ladder. Ricochet began hitting some moves. He eventually hit low. He and Paul were on the ladder fighting each other. LA Knight toppled the ladder over. He and Paul managed to bridge themselves very briefly on the top rope, and then enabled Ricochet to attempt a Spanish fly, but he did not quite get full rotation. Like, he flipped, Paul did not, and basically wound up face planting on the concrete, even though they went through a table. Like, he landed hard. Oof. Eventually, though, Damian Priest and LA Knight were on the ladder fighting each other. Looked like LA Knight was just about to get it, but then Priest got him in a goozle and then hit the Broken Arrow off the ladder, which enabled Damian Priest to grab the briefcase and win the match, in which immediately said about my idea that there was probably going to be a cash-in going on here, but that, well, we'll get to there. Overall, I'm actually for this. I think, a lot of people are saying LA Knight, and that, while I wouldn't necessarily be opposed to that choice, it does seem like he hasn't really done that much. I mean, his only noteworthy feud of the year was with Bray Wyatt, and then, I know he was injured, so, but, he's just recently come back. It seems a little quickly to give him that type of push. Priest is someone who's been working really well, who's obviously, he's proven he can work a great show. He worked really well with Bad Bunny in Puerto Rico, so, again, the idea of giving him a big push at this point really does seem like a good idea. So yeah, I'm okay with Damian Priest winning the Money in the Bank match. And that leads us into our next match, which is the Women's Tag Team Championship match. Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler versus Liv Morgan and Raquel Rodriguez. I guess I should point out that Ronda Rousey came out possessed by Majin Buu from Dragon Ball Z. Which is odd given what happens during this match. Early on, Morgan got some maneuvers off, hit Baszler with a drop kick. Rodriguez then power bombed Morgan onto the champs. Baszler then eventually got in and trapped Morgan in an armbar. Morgan caught Rousey and hit her with a head scissors. Rodriguez hit a Super Chicona bomb on Rousey. Baszler and Rousey came in and cleaned house for a little bit. Baszler and Rousey got Liv in a not quite rear naked choke. It was a, but what did I write here? It was an ankle lock and an armbar, I think. Yeah. However, because both partners were putting the submission hold on at the same time, it was not eligible for Morgan to actually tap out. Very unique point made. I think it was Wade Barrett who made it. Anyway, and then the big shock came. You know, it looked like, Baszler had the Karafuda clutch shot locked on. Morgan just managed to kind of fight her way out of it a couple of times. The second time she kicked Baszler off just enough to send her to the corner. Rousey tagged in, and then suddenly Shayna Baszler jumped Ronda Rousey from behind, clubbed her, locked her in the Karafuda clutch, and then just left the ring to the audience's delight. Which is weird, because isn't the person who's possessed by Majin Buu's the one supposed to turn on their partners? Anyway, yeah, so again, much to the crowd's delight, because, yeah, like, that Ronda Rousey boat really has sailed. But yeah, she leaves the ring. Morgan and Rodriguez hit a couple double team maneuvers on Rousey and get the 3 count of the victory to become the new tag team champs. This was kind of a surprise. I mean, I think it was even. I don't think it was a surprise that eventually they were going to break up. It seems kind of soon that they would break up Rousey and Baszler, but you would think they would do it like after they lost the championships or something of that nature. But then, you know, looking at this, I'm like, oh, this looks like a squash that's about to happen. But oh, they're holding it over, and then suddenly that happened. I was like, okay, well, that was unexpected. So yeah, definitely did pique some interests there. Like I said, you know, overall the rest of the match was kind of pedestrian, but yeah, obviously the twist at the end there saved it. And that leads us into our third match, the Intercontinental Championship match, Walter versus Matt Riddle. Riddle attempted a standing Kimura right off the bat. Riddle countered a lariat with a Pele kick. Anyway, Riddle countered a lariat with a Pele kick as I was there. Sorry, I've lost my spot here. Walter came back, he locked on a knee bar. He then started trying to tear apart the ankle support on Riddle because they're selling the ankle injury. Riddle did roll out of a German suplex, but then tweaked his ankle further. Riddle did manage to come back. He had a couple of big splashes. He had a jumping knee. He got a triangle choke, but then Walter fought out of it with a single arm powerbomb, and then locked Riddle in a heel hook, and Riddle eventually tapped out. So, yeah, that match was, not the best of either guy. Like, I do have to wonder if maybe Riddle was legitimately hurt because they just had to hold back so much. But yeah, this was a pretty forgettable match. And it probably would still be forgettable, except then suddenly Drew McIntyre's music hits. He comes down to the ring. He and Walter square off. Walter goes for a punch, but then McIntyre hits the Glasgow Kiss and then the Claymore, and then triumphantly leaves the ring. Okay, our next match is Cody Rhodes versus Dominic Mysterio. Right off the bat, Dominic tried to powder out of the ring as Cody was trying to go for a punch. Cody ran up the aisle, grabbed Dominic, threw him back in the ring, hit a couple body slams and a power slam. Dominic got back out of the ring, and then Rhea Ripley began distracting Cody as Dominic tried to fiddle with the turnbuckle pad. It didn't quite work. Dominic did come back, hit a corkscrew uppercut on Cody, but that was about it. Dominic went to the Three Amigos, and after the second one, Cody came back with a big suplex. Ripley broke up a disaster kick. Dominic did go for the 619, but Cody managed to counter that into a spinning Alabama slam, and then the Cody cutter. He then hit the crossroads for the 3 count of the victory. Yeah, no, Brock Lesnar did not come out and attack Cody afterwards. It just ended. So, yeah, kind of a disappointing match there. Just not very good at all. I think this was wholly forgettable and really did not need to be on the show. After that, we had a vignette, or a segment where John Cena came out. He said, hey, you know, a lot of people say these things about the London crowd. The higher-ups are always very wary about coming here because you do this. You go into business for yourselves, but I actually respect it. I think London needs to host WrestleMania. As he said that, Grayson Waller came out and he said, no, England's too cold and dreary. You need to be someplace warm and sunny like Australia for WrestleMania. And Cena eventually hit him with the A. So yeah, that was really all you needed to know about that. And that leads us into the Women's Money in the Bank ladder match. Bayley versus Io Sky versus Trish Stratus versus Becky Lynch versus Zoe Stark versus Lena Vega. Right off the bat, Stratus and Stark jumped Lynch during her intro. Vega hit a flying meteor on Stratus off of the apron. Then Stark dropped Sky onto a ladder. Basically, Trish and Zoe Stark worked together a lot during this match. Bayley and Io Sky really did not. Also, I guess I would be remiss if I didn't point out that Samantha Irvin introduced Bayley as being part of the Judgment Day, so that's news to me. Anyway, Lynch knocked Bayley off the ladder with a missile drop kick. Vega came in and had a couple of good points. She used Stratus as a bridge to get on the ladder, climb up. However, as they fought more, the ladder got knocked away. I think Zoe Stark and Trish Stratus moved the ladder while Io Sky was on it. So she wasn't completely out of the briefcase, so Sky had to celebrate a big moonsault off the ladder. Lynch then fought with Stark and Stratus a bit more. Stark got out a set of handcuffs. Tried to cuff Becky on several occasions, just could not seem to get it to work. Eventually, Lynch hit her guillotine leg drop off of the ladder and through the announce table. Vega then hit a ladder code red on Zoe Stark. Bayley then came in. Io Sky was climbing the ladder, looked like she had it, but then Bayley toppled it over. They tried to play it off like, oh, excuse me. Oh, Bayley didn't know that Io was on the excuse me again, sorry. Oh, Bayley didn't know that Io was on the ladder there. So, yeah, they tried to play it off like she didn't know, but it was plainly obvious that she did. Becky Lynch got back in. They were was fighting with Bayley on the ladders. They were climbing up. She used the cuffs as kind of a mandible claw type maneuver to pull Bayley down. They were on there. Io gets up, grabs the other end of the open end of the cuffs, and cuffs Bayley to Becky Lynch. Bayley, and this is one of those, I don't know if Bayley necessarily meant to assist Io, but Bayley started to climb down the ladder, and then something that enabled Io to climb on Bayley to get back up the ladder to grab the briefcase and win the Women's Money in the Bank. On the bright side, because there's no Women's Championship being defended outside of the Tag Team Championships, which just got defended, that means we're not going to cash in on the show, so we at least have that going for us. Hopefully, again, Io will hold on to this thing for more than 24 hours. Still, yeah, overall, the match was flawed. I think they were holding back a little too much. Like, Zelina Vega did a lot, obviously Io Sky did a lot, Becky did quite a bit, but other than that, there was just kind of this repetitive motion of, you know, we're doing things on the ladder, we're doing things off the ladder, and again, it was a lot of the same maneuvers, and so it wasn't too innovative, and kind of added to it. The match itself it just kind of felt a little boring at times. It just didn't seem to have the excitement. It was not as good as the men's match this year, and well, I'm not opposed to Io Sky winning it. It just kind of felt a little too predictable in my opinion. It's just like, yeah, you know, at one point it looked like Zoe Stark or Zelina Vega might have a better shot at it, and it's like, you know, if either of them won, I'd be okay with that, because you would at least be trying to push something new, but yeah, guess not. Anyway, our next match is the World Heavyweight Championship match, Seth Rollins versus Finn Balor. The crowd basically was way into this match and kept interrupting Michael Cole. He was too loud, so he's just getting drawn out, so he's like, yeah, I'm just going to be quiet. Rollins hit a torpe to send Balor into the announce table. Rollins hit a rebound lariat off the ring steps. Balor came back, hit a double stomp to Seth's injured ribs. Rollins did hit a discus lariat to come back with. Rollins countered a Pele kick into a pedigree. Balor did a sling blade, his drop kick, and then but Rollins countered a super kick on the buckle bomb. Damian Priest then came out carrying his briefcase, and it distracted Rollins enough for Balor to try to roll him up. Balor didn't seem to notice Priest as he just took a chair at ringside, and everything seemed to be going well for Balor. All of a sudden, he comes back with a couple of big stomps. He goes for the coup de grace. It's at this point that Priest stands up and winds up distracting Balor just long enough for Seth to avoid the coup de grace and to hit the stomp for the 3 count of the victory. Again, not a great match, unfortunately. I know these two are capable of better. I wonder if they just kind of ran into a wall here, because this thing kind of felt really hurried. The Damian Priest distraction just didn't really seem to work, in my opinion. Again, we did not get a cash in, just Balor and Priest argued afterwards. And like I said, it just felt really flat and dull. Not very exciting. I'm not surprised that Seth won, but yeah, again, it's just like, again, maybe you could have done something that'll pop the crowd out a little more. But I guess maybe they just didn't want to distract too much from the main event. Okay, and that leads us into our main event, the Usos versus Roman Reigns and Solo Sikoa, the Bloodline Civil War. Sami Zayn and Kevin Owens were in the skybox, or one of the skyboxes, to watch the match. The Usos were very reluctant to face Solo as he opened up the match, but eventually Jay managed to distract Solo long enough to get him with a cheap shot kick, which angered Reigns to get tagged in. They tagged in. Reigns avoided a double super kick and then rolled out to talk with Heyman and Solo. Jimmy blind tagged at one point, but Solo caught him and hit him with the running hip attack. Solo hit the corner hip attack, like I said. Solo then breaks up a hot tag by pulling Jay off the apron. Jimmy eventually avoided a Superman punch and clotheslined Reigns out of the ring in order to get Jay tagged in. Reigns countered a torpedo with a Superman punch, the Usos then double speared Roman Reigns, but only got a 2 count. Jimmy then countered a spear with a super kick. Sorry, I can't read my writing sometimes. Reigns, as Jimmy went up for the splash, Reigns countered that into a guillotine, but I believe Jimmy powered out of it. The Usos hit the 1D, but unfortunately in the process the ref got knocked out of the ring. Solo then came in and attacked Jimmy, and they had a stereo Uranagi, and then they hit Jay with a Samoan Spike spear combo. They stacked up the Usos, but only got a 2 count on it. At this point, Solo started to get upset. Jimmy and Jay fought back. Jay blocked Reigns' attempt with spear, only got another 2 count. And the Usos got in as Jimmy rolled out of a splash that he was laying on the announce table. Solo tried to do a splash from the ring barricade to the announce table, but Jimmy avoided it. The Usos double super kicked Roman a couple of times, and and then they hit the splash and got the 3 count in the victory. So Roman Reigns has been pinned for the first time in almost 3 years. The bloodline is permanently severed. Solo was looking quite irate, especially after Reigns failed to get the victory after the stack up, but I don't know where exactly that's going to lead. And kind of after that, like, this match was great, this match was fun. It did a really great job of telling the story. Like I said, a lot of fun points. It reminded me a lot of the match that ended night 1 of WrestleMania. So again, like, it brought back a lot of that, and it really worked well. This was my match of the night. It does lead to some interesting ideas. I just don't know if they're necessarily going to lead to anything true fruitful. I don't really see Roman dropping the championship anytime soon. I'm guessing he's holding it till next WrestleMania, where he'll probably keep holding it. Because, yeah. So, yeah, like, it's nice, but I don't know how big an impact it's really going to be. And that's kind of the way I'd say with the show overall. Like, none of this stuff was really bad, unfortunately. I think a lot of the matches were just really forgettable. The Women's Money in the Bank was a disappointment. Obviously, Cody and Dominic was a disappointment. Walter and Riddle was a disappointment. I liked the Men's Money in the Bank match. I liked the ending tag match. I liked the twist in the women's tag match, so there was at least that going for it. But yeah, other than that, like, yeah, this was a very mid-level show. I'm going to be giving Money in the Bank 2023 a C. This was just really, really average. That's about all I can really say about it. So, Yeah, again, just kind of meh. Okay, so wrestling-wise, I'm gonna cover AEW Blood and Guts. I think just again to get another wrestling thing in. WWE SummerSlam is next month on the 5th. So yeah, Blood and Guts is on the 19th. SummerSlam is on August 5th. Then, but the next video is going to be the next 2 episodes of Secret Invasion, and then the random trade review on Amazing Spider-Man Masterworks Volume 1. See you all next time. Hey guys, remember you can help me maintain and possibly even expand my professional wrestling covers by supporting me on Patreon at patreon.com/SleepyTimeForCat Productions. Also, remember to like the video, comment, share, subscribe, and ring that notification bell.